Welcome back to Mirror Readings. I'm Molly, and today we're talking about Gene Key 49, which has the shadow of reaction, the gift of revolution, and the city of rebirth. So let's get into it. And if you want to get a Gene Keys reading from me, please visit my website, mirrorreadings.com, and subscribe to my channel to save 15% on all my offerings. So, the shadow of reaction. This is actually a trigger point for the human race because our negative reaction to 3D, like getting sick of this whole plane of duality and all the drama and horrors of being human, that is what prompts us to seek higher wisdom and higher frequencies. So if we stay stuck in this shadow of reaction, raw emotions rule our life, and that's not good. But if those raw emotions propel us to expand our consciousness, well, then we're using this shadow wisely. Unwise uses of this shadow frequency of reaction would be just blowing up on people and or cutting yourself off emotionally from others. The illusion of cutting off emotionally is kind of a cute, very human idea, but in practice, it never works and always makes us more emotional. Also, this 49th shadow is the essence of tribalism, okay? And whether we're just identified with our particular subgroup, using that to justify reactive behavior, or if we're just a one-man tribe attempting to cut ourselves off emotionally to protect ourselves from other people, that's gonna get the same shitty result. We are a very interdependent species and we need each other to evolve. Also, I'm pretty sure love is the whole point of the human experience. So being a one-man tribe is not gonna work. Identifying with our subgroups and just sticking to that kind of tribalism is also gonna cut us off from love. So that's not gonna work either. We have to become sensitive to ourselves and to all of human life to get out of this shadow state. We are a very interdependent species and we need each other to evolve. Also, I'm pretty sure love is the whole point of the human experience. So being a one-man tribe is not gonna work. Identifying with our subgroups and just sticking to that kind of tribalism is also gonna cut us off from love. So that's not gonna work either. We have to become sensitive to ourselves and to all of human life to get out of this shadow state. When we're being reactive about being reactive, we tend to reject others before they can reject us, right? And that's how we deal with that fear. In a repressed state, we can often basically sacrifice our individuality for the sake of false harmony. We're so afraid to rock the boat, we just shrink. And when we shrink, no one can ever really know us, right? This becomes stagnant energy. And the gift of revolution occurs when any stagnant energy is released. All right, but that requires us to be aware of where we're stagnant. I gotta read y'all directly from my notes really quick because my notes are just really good. Okay, so the gift of revolution occurs when any stagnant energy is brought into awareness. Not from a place of emotional reaction or trying to cut ourselves off emotionally, but from realizing that something is not right and deciding that it needs to change, right? That's what it means to be a revolutionary. And when we use reaction as a trigger to bring us into an expanded state of being, right? To work on our consciousness, then we become spiritual revolutionaries. And then we're stabilizing in the gift frequency. Again, reaction is not bad. Eventually we get sick of our own bullshit. And that's what prompts us to make changes and become revolutionary. But again, this whole 49th shadow is about not staying in that energy. It's about using reactivity for fuel. Couple more notes here on this gift of revolution. Okay, so the ideal archetype for this gift is taking the reactive energy from the shadow level beyond the fear of rejection and applying it towards the higher ideals anchored in goodwill towards all of life. Yeah. And the difference between a reactionary and a revolutionary is that reactionaries want change, but they're coming from a place of fear. And revolutionaries are not a victim of old emotional prejudices. Whoo! Those embodying the 49th gift can see systems, so they innately understand why things take so long to change. Like, I have to tell myself this as much as you guys because the world seems really scary right now. But what if things are changing? Like, what if things are getting better and all of this like insanity that we're seeing that feels like it's coming from every direction is actually just the last gasp of the old world holding on while these higher dimensional frequencies are coming in and literally our consciousness is expanding and ascending in real time. But like all of the old bullshit has to purge out. And of course, like there's going to be negative reaction to any change. Like that always happens. That's kind of like one of our like big hangups as human beings is that we're wired to evolve, we're wired to change, but when it comes, you know, we're kicking and screaming a lot of the time. Yes, big change can take time. However, in terms of like all of human evolution, what we're experiencing right now, I believe is happening in the blink of an eye, all right? Even if it takes a few generations, moving from third dimensional to fifth dimensional consciousness, this is a quantum leap, okay? And it starts with that connection to our divinity. It starts with allowing higher consciousness in by having that negative reaction to the bullshit of being human and the bullshit of like being a limited being when our souls know that we're eternal and limitless. All stagnant 3D energy is cleared by forgiveness. I personally believe that forgiveness is the key to eternal happiness, but that's just me. This city of rebirth, in fact, all of the cities, they typically arise spontaneously from being stabilized in a gift frequency for long enough. But this city of rebirth has a very clear on-ramp, which is forgiveness, because we realize that when we forgive others, we forgive ourselves, and that actually people maybe subconsciously have a harder time changing and becoming the best version of themselves when others are holding them in psychic bondage by not forgiving them. Richard Rudd calls this city a mystical divorce because we divorce ourselves from fear of rejection and even fear of death and are reborn into divine consciousness and everything that comes with it. So often, y'all, the hardest person to forgive is ourselves. So start there. I'm Molly, you're watching Mirror Readings. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And if you'd like to get a Gene Keys reading from me, please visit my website, mirrorreadings.com.